Well, we're going to make breaded cauliflower. It is absolutely delicious. I love it. And we're also going to make a ranch dip for it. This video is part of a collaboration named Flour It Up, featuring recipes using flour. The hosts of the collaboration are Martin Midlife Misadventures, and new videos come out every Friday. Details in the description box. I'm actually starting these a day ahead of time because the breading part of this works out best if they have been cooked and then chilled. So I'm going to steam them today, and we will do the breading and the baking tomorrow. So we're going to want to peel the leaves off, and there are some black spots on the cauliflower. I've yet to see a cauliflower that doesn't have black spots on it. If you can see them right there. I don't concern myself with them. I just cut them off. You're going to want to cut these into sizes that are kind of, I guess, finger food sizes, even if you don't eat them as an appetizer and you use a fork and the knife. If you cut them too small, they're just going to fall apart. So I'm going to go ahead and start cutting chunks off. The chunks kind of make themselves, as you can see. So if you follow that more or less, you'll be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start cutting, just cutting into the cauliflower and pulling them off. Here's one, just like that. I'm going to go ahead and do these, and I'm going to put them in the steamer, and I'll be back with you in a minute. As you can see, any place there was some black spots, I just sliced that off. I got a big chunk here as I was cutting them off, so I'm just going to pop them off like this. Again, you don't want them too small because they fall apart. About like that. So here's my pan of cauliflower ready to go. I'm going to put this on the stove and steam them. You want them to be soft but firm. We're not going to be mashing these, so they don't need to be really, really soft, but they do need to be cooked through. So I'm going to put those on right now. All right, so it's the morning after. These are nice and cold. Here's what the cauliflower look like after they've been steamed and chilled. They are not raw or hard by any means, but they are still kind of firm. If you were to try to get a knife in here or something sharp, there'd be a little bit of resistance, but they're not falling apart, and they're not floppy and soft like they would be if you wanted to mash them for something else. So we are going to go ahead now and dip these in flour, and we're going to let the flour sit for a few minutes on the cauliflower before we go ahead with the breading. I always do the breading this way because when you put the flour on and let it set on the vegetable, it forms kind of a glue of sorts, and then the breading stays on and doesn't fall off. So let's get started with that. I always use white flour. Here, I've got some white flour for the breading. I've tried to use wheat flour, but it doesn't seem to work as well as plain just white all-purpose flour. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll the head of the cauliflower in the white flour, just like that, till you get it nicely covered. And I'm just going to go ahead and do all of them that way and set them aside for a few minutes. Just like that. All right, while these are hanging out here for a few minutes, I'm going to go ahead and prepare everything else. I have the oven preheating to 375. I have a few more ingredients to bread with. I'm going to be using some almond milk for the moisture, and you can use regular milk or eggs or coconut milk. The main thing I think is that it's liquid and it has some fat in it. I'm also going to be using seasoned breadcrumbs. These are great value from Walmart, and some Parmesan cheese. I also have a cookie sheet covered with parchment paper here. I usually use a cast iron flat skillet in the oven for this, but I have a lot of cauliflower and it's not going to fit, so I'll use this. I have my almond milk poured, and I poured in the amount I think I'm going to need, but I can always add more if I need to. I'm going to go ahead and put the seasoned breadcrumbs in here again. I will probably need more, but we'll start with this. It's not an exact science, or at least I'm not an exact science sort of person. There are other people who are, and good for them. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon of Parmesan into what is about a cup and a half of breadcrumbs, and just stir that up. And in a few minutes, we'll be ready to start the dipping process and putting them in the oven. All right, it's been about 15 minutes, so let's start working on these. You're going to take your cauliflower and dip them first in the almond milk, just the part that's floured, the top part. And then you're going to go ahead and dip them in the breadcrumb mixture, just like that. Make sure they're nicely coated, and then put them on the cookie sheet. Let's try that again. We're going to wet them in the almond milk or whatever liquid you choose, then into the breadcrumb mixture, covering the top, and then lay it on down. I'm going to finish these up and I'll be right back. Here they are, all breaded and almost ready for the oven. I'm going to take some spray oil and just spray the tops of these lightly. I think it helps with the crisping and browning process. So the preheated oven is ready. I had preheated it to 375, and I'm going to stick these in, and we'll pull them out when they're ready. All right, it's been about 30-35 minutes, and these are absolutely perfect. Perfectly browned, perfectly cooked. I'm going to let these cool off, and we'll make a ranch yogurt sauce for them. This is ridiculously easy. All you need is yogurt. Here's some yogurt and ranch seasoning. Depending on how much you want to make, just take a scoop or two of yogurt, put it in a bowl. There's a nice amount. This makes such a good dipping sauce. And then sprinkle some ranch seasoning in there and mix it. And you can add more ranch if you want. I don't know the level that you like it seasoned, but it really is good. It's that easy. These are really good served hot or at room temperature. You can make them ahead of time too. And if you do and store them, when you take them out of the fridge, they will be very floppy. Do not worry. You can go ahead and put them back on a baking sheet and bake them at 300 degrees for a few minutes. They will warm up nicely without losing the crunch of the topping, and they will also be nice and stiff again. So there you are. It's really delicious and it looks good, and with the dipping sauce you will not be disappointed. Thank you so much for watching.